Now let's talk about North Korea's arch rival, the United States of America. There's a presidential election next year in the US and Joe Biden is vying for a second term. He doesn't want to leave anything to chance, so he's turning to the Trump playbook. Biden is taking a tougher line against China. He has signed a new executive order. It bans new investments in China's high-tech sector. Americans won't be able to fund projects in China. Biden has a new slogan for investors. He wants them to invest in America.
Instead of exporting American jobs, we're creating American jobs, and we're exporting American products.
So that is Biden's new sales pitch. Sounds a lot like protectionism, but he's hoping this will get him re-elected. The pretext of this executive order is national security. But the fact is, the US doesn't want China to have an edge. He doesn't want China to make better semiconductors or chips, quantum computers, or steal the march in artificial intelligence. So Biden has blocked American funding to these projects. When do these curbs kick in? Next year. And what about previous investments? Well, they won't be impacted. Biden's executive order only applies to future investments. And yet, the current investors might be compelled to change their mind because the US and China are fighting a trade war. If you are an investor in America, putting money on China is risky now. American venture funding has declined dramatically. In the last quarter of 2021, more than $40 billion were invested, 40 billion in one quarter. 2 years later, this number has dropped by more than 50%. In the second quarter of this year, just $10.5 billion were invested. The trade restrictions have had a serious impact. The US already bans or restricts certain exports to China. The curbs were introduced last year. They were targeted at the semiconductor industry. Chip exports were restricted and high-tech chip exports were banned from America to China. Chinese manufacturers were also denied chip design software and manufacturing equipment and related components. So Biden is now going after the money. What does he hope to achieve from this? Besides, of course, blocking China's rise and perhaps an election win, Biden is looking at national security. You see, Washington believes that some technologies can dramatically shift the balance of power. US National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan has a term for this. He calls them, quote-unquote, force multipliers, these technologies, force multipliers. Modern-day innovations fall in this category. There are chips in every electronic device today. They can also be installed in weapon systems. Same with artificial intelligence. The world is worried about the military applications of AI. Last month, the UN Security Council discussed it. The prospect of robot soldiers is scary and not far-fetched anymore. The US is exploring possibilities and so is China. Let me show you something, in fact. In 2021, the Global Times put out this story. It announced that the PLA, the Chinese army, is using artificial intelligence. It hasn't entered the battlefield yet, but the technology is being used in training. The Chinese Air Force used AI in aerial combat training. How does it work? Well, China took the pilot out of the cockpit and let artificial intelligence fly the fighters. There was no dogfight in the air with robots. The PLA ran simulations in cockpits. A real pilot went up against an AI aircraft, and in this instance, the pilot came out on top. The Chinese military hailed the advantages of AI after this. The Global Times reported that such trainings can boost efficiency, reduce cost, and minimize risk. China is studying military applications of artificial intelligence. America wants to slow them down, and they are in a position to do so. You see, China still lacks the know-how. It doesn't know chip design. It still lags behind America in AI. China has bought many high-tech goods from the US. It has relied on American funding to make progress, but now the US is turning off all those taps. Obviously, Beijing does not like it. They've issued a statement. China said it was very disappointed by Joe Biden's orders. It is also hinting at retaliatory measures. We haven't heard the last of this.